Welcome, it's another video. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Just Nuts. That wasn't a new theme song. Well, it could be, I guess, but, I'm not liking that one that much. We're gonna find one that we really, truly like, and then we'll sit down and look at it. But, for right now, guys, we've got a new, information. New information. Sorry, I'm all jumbled up on GENEREIDS. This came out a couple days ago. I actually had some time to compile my thoughts on it, and I say this because when I first saw the archetype, when I first read the cards, I was literally like, "This archetype's terrible." But upon further speculation, it's actually not that bad. I almost liken it to something like Blue Eyes. You play a lot of high-level monsters, so it definitely always will have the possibility of bricking. Just on drawing too many of those. But it also has the capability to set up some pretty powerful things, taking advantage of cards like VFD. You can use True Draco cards, which are really awesome with consistency. And I want to throw that out there before we start, because reading these definitely will not sound amazing. But I don't want to waste too much time before reading these, so let's just jump right in. So GENEREIDS is a archetype based around a bunch of level 9 monsters, level 9 and rank 9 monsters, essentially. So we're going to start with the first of those, which is called Mardal, the Generate of Light. This is a level 9 light plant effect monster with 2400 attack, 2400 defense, and her second effect is a hard once per turn. You can only control one of her, and then also if she is normal summoned or special summoned, you can add one plant monster or one Generate card from your deck to your hand. She is really phenomenal. She's just your generic searcher. She's essentially your Stratos, except she's not normal summonable, which is kind of problematic that you can't just like use her as your play starter. Just normal summon it, get what you need. You kind of have to already have cards to get her out in the first place, but it's actually not too incredibly hard to do that. So she's really, really nice. And also, just keep in mind, she can also be abused in generic plant decks, because Aromatherapy Jasmine special summons any plant monster straight from deck, non-level discriminating, and then you just special her, add another plant. It's just a free +1. +2, I guess, off of Jasmine Tribute, so I guess +1, but still really, really nice card. Keep it in mind. Then we look at Fraudier, Generate of the Sword. I believe he's one of the weaker ones. He's a level 9 Wind Warrior with 2500 attack, 2000 offense. Again, second effect is a hard once per turn. You can only control one. All of them, you can only control one. His quick effect, he actually has a quick effect, which is nice. You contribute any number of generated monsters and or warrior monsters, then target that many monsters on the field as cost, and destroy those monsters. Then your opponent control cards equal to the number of monsters they controlled that were destroyed by this effect. Super okay. I mean, like, the fact that you're just giving them, like, draws, like, anything. Even if you just pop one, draw one, that's still too much, man. That's just like the equivalent of just, like, giving their card, like, an extra float effect, if it already didn't have one, or if it had one plus that. So this guy, while I do think that can be a decent disruption if they weren't able to extend with the cards they drew, but I feel like on overall that redraw is like not what you want. Then we move to Verge of Iron, a level 9 Earth Machine monster. Okay. Can only control one, and then as a quick effect, you contribute any number of generated monsters and or machine monsters as cost to special summon in defense position the same number of generated monsters and or machine monsters from your hand that have different names from each other, and all of the tributed monsters. So this one is super interesting. I actually think this one may be playable, especially because they do have ways to just special anyone you want from deck. This one could be important for when you do open hands that just you open a ton of generated monsters in hand. This could just be an important card where you maybe just play him as a one of, and if you do happen to see a card that can bring him out straight out of the deck, you bring him out and then like you tribute himself and just pull another one out, or you know what I mean. Like, you could just be able to unclog some of them out of your hand, so he may be useful. But I also wouldn't be surprised if this deck doesn't really find space for this card. But he's definitely interesting. Keep an eye on him for sure. I also don't like that he's big, but not strong attack-wise. You can't really apply a lot of offensive pressure with him. And then we move to Nagelfar, Generate of Flames, a level 9 Fire Beast Warrior effect monster. 3,100 attack, 200 defense. I love this guy because he's 3,100, but I don't think his effects are amazing. You can only control one of him, and then if a card or cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one Generate monster or Beast Warrior monster you control instead. Not really great. I would have liked this more if you could like banish a Generate from grave instead. That way you're not losing active resources on the board. It's not terrible. It's not great for sure. I don't even think it's good, probably. Maybe you play him just to have a monster with that high of a stat, but we'll keep moving. This one I believe is the second best one behind the Searcher, or at least it's arguable between those two. This is Nidhogg, the Generate of Ice. I love his design. He's super cool. He's like a big ice dragon. Level 9 Water Worm effect monster with 2100 attack, 2600 defense. Wish it was a little bit bigger, but 2100 is enough to apply offensive pressure, especially given his effect. Second effect is a Harvest turn as usual. When your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters, quick effect, you contribute 1 generated monster or worm monster as cost to negate that summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Or monsters. So, oh my god, this is so powerful. This is so insanely good. I mean, it's a once per turn, so which is needs to be. Effect this good, powerful needs to be, especially built into a big monster. But just imagine how good this is. Like, essentially any deck we see in our meta right now, if you play this correctly and you hit the most quintessential or the most important special summon of that opponent's turn, going like if you went first and made this guy, you're probably just going to win the duel. I mean, there's no guarantee. We don't know. You know, they might have ways to extend, but their boards will definitely not be impressive. And you'll have a very good chance to win the duel. This card is very, very good. This card might be a 3 of. Just because at any point in the duel, like if you're able to crack a board, even going second, then you have this guy to keep your opponent from ever trying to like come back at you, or not ever, but to hinder them from doing that. So I really, really like this card. Really good going first disruption card. And I like that it's built into the archetype. And then the last one we have here is Hell, Generate of Death. She is a level 9 dark zombie, 800 attack, 800 defense, not 29. This is a typo, I think. Her design's really cool. I like that she's a zombie. I hate that her attack is so low. Again, like you cannot be offensive with this card. I just say this for when you end up in like simplified board states, and this deck would have like an advantage in that as long as you were able to get one monster on the field, just because it'd probably be a big boy, and if they couldn't add it, you're just going to beat them down. Whatever. Second effect, Hardwood's turn as usual. She has a quick effect where you contribute a generated monster or zombie monster, then target 1 generated monster or zombie monster in your grave with a different name from the tributed monsters and special summon it in defense position. So you just have like a quick effect monster reborn. Pretty nice. The fact that I kind of like that she can just do it to herself, but unfortunately I don't think she can be abused in zombies, but because she doesn't get herself on field at all. But she's still cool. She's cool in this archetype. You just trade her for anyone that's already in grave, which could be nice. I don't know if she's really playable like that, but she's definitely interesting. So like these two are like the really good ones, the plant one and the ice one, and then all the other ones kind of are just like okay, maybe playable, but they're not great. And then we move to the 1 rank monster, I guess the boss monster for them, which is Jormungandr, Generate of Eternity. It's a rank 9 Earth reptile, exceeds monsters with question mark for stats. It is generic, takes any 2 level 9 monsters, and the third effect is a hard once per turn. You can only control 1 of him, which makes sense. And its second effect says this card's original attack and defense are equal to the number of materials attached to this card times 1,000. So most of the time, I'm assuming you're only using 2 level 9 monsters to make him, so he'll be 2,000 to start. And he has a quick effect or his third effect that says you can detach 1 material from this card. Each player draws 1 card, then each player that drew chooses 1 card that is in their hand or on their field, and you attach the chosen cards to this card as XYZ material. So after using that effect once, you'll be at 3,000, and then from then on you should be going up 1,000 every time you use it. I like this for certain things. It lets you cycle through your deck. I don't like that it lets your opponent draw 1 card deeper. That would have been spicy if this card literally would have just said like detach. Even if you would only stay at 2,000, you could just like detach 1 material, and then your opponent just had to pick something. They don't draw. They just had to pick something from field or hand to just give to you as material. That would be pretty spicy, just taking 1 resource. But he's still not terrible. He's just kind of like a big boss monster. I don't know. That's all he really is. I don't think he's too great. Then we move to the field spell. This is probably the best card in the archetype, honestly, because he says once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from the deck to the hand, you can special summon 1 generated monster straight from the deck. So many decks like search nowadays and it adds a card from the deck to hand that's not search. So that means if they do draw a card, they just like do this. So I guess that's what make like this guy, because you can like use this quick effect to force your opponent to draw a card, and then this will just special you generate straight from deck. Also, during your opponent's turn, if you special summon a generate monster, you can special summon in attack position as many generate tokens as possible, but destroy them during this turn's end phase. Ooh. I feel like this is just more defense than anything, or I guess the guy that protects stuff by tributing. I guess they're all generate tokens. So I think the biggest thing is that a lot of the generate monsters are quick effects. This gives you material, and a lot of them tribute other generate monsters. So if you just put these, you just have like multiple tribute fodder tokens, and they're not 0/0, so you're not just taking, damage. Because they are special event attackers, so you're not taking a ton of damage, but still a really, really nice card for the deck. Then we move to a continuous spell in Generate Reward. Second effect, Harden's Return. While you control a token, your opponent cannot target generate effect monsters for attack, so they're forced to go after the tokens, which is alright. And then if a generate effect monster is destroyed by battle, your opponent draws one card. Terrible, don't play this card. And you have Generate Quest, a regular spell where you can Harden's Return and reveal one generate monster in your hand, and if you do, add to your hand up to 2 generate spells and or traps from your deck with different names. Then place the revealed card on the bottom of your deck. This is a nice little like consistency card. I actually do like this card, especially because it gets you the field spell quickly, and I think one of the trap cards is good as well, so we'll get there. But a nice little consistency card, I like that. Generate Battles, a trap card that says activate one generate field spell from your deck or graveyard, then your opponent draws one card. The reason this is interesting is this happens in order, I believe, so you can literally activate the field spell, then your opponent draws one card, and then your field spell will special summon you a thing. So like while you read that field spell by itself and you're like, oh, but like even though searching is very common, if your opponent sees that you have this face up, they may just not search. But you have this card to shotgun to just force them to draw one card, and you're just good to go from there. So this card's very nice as well. And even their draw phase, I believe, still counts, right? I believe it counts. On the other traps, one's a continuous called Generate Territory, and its effect is only usable once per turn when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your activation of a generate card and or effect. You can discard one card for cost. That opponent's effect becomes each player draws one card. I never like effects like this unless it changes to something like actually spicy, but in this, like, I don't want to play too many cards in this deck that give my opponent free draws. That's why I think I'd probably stay away from this card, but it's not terrible, I guess. It just keeps your opponent, messes with your opponent, like chained anything you do, but still mediocre. Then we have Generate Bite, a normal trap card where Harden's Return, obviously, and you contribute any number of generate monsters, then target one Xyz monster you control. Choose an equal number of generate monsters, except the tributed monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard, and if you do, attach them to the targeted monster as XYZ material. A lot going on there. Not an amazing card. I mean, like, you have to tribute monsters already. Like, you'd already have to be in such a board state. The problem with this deck is definitely going to be consistency. So I don't think we'd be playing a card like this. It's like doing something after you've already like gotten there. We need to worry more about getting there in the first place. So this trap card is definitely interesting to get your field spell going. This guy's a nice consistency card, Pooh, a nice field spell, and then you've got the good monsters here. So I think the biggest thing to remember is that we have stuff like Dragonic Diagram, as well as the Agnimazad and Barastos being really nice True King monsters. They're all level 9s. They have pretty powerful effects on summon, and they're very nice to help just get level 9s on the field to start making plays. We have the World Legacy, I think Monstrosity is what it's called, where it says like if you control a level 9 monster, you can just special summon 2 other level 9s straight from deck, with as long as they have a different attribute and type, I think is how that card works, which is pretty insane. That helps you span the board so quick. And then I can't think of anything else, but I think those are the main cards that actually make this playable. Shout out to Lithium 2300, because I thought this deck was so terrible, but then he did a testing video on it and he said the same thing. He said like what I said here, where he was like, he looked at the archetype and he thought it was garbage. Because if you're looking at just the archetype, it's not very good, but when you look at the archetype as a whole, combined with like support we already have for like level 9s, it's actually not that bad. Taking advantage of calamities, the true Draco package, you're already playing field spells, so you can already take advantage of like metaverse and terraforming and stuff. Even if they're only both at 1, those are 2 nice consistency cards to still have, which is really nice. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Definitely keep an eye out for this deck. It could just be one of those like weird blue eyes-ish decks playing a lot of big monsters, but it can summon some really powerful stuff with XCs and stuff like that. But definitely keep an eye on it and don't sleep on it. Read the cards if they come out, because some of them are insane. Like this guy just negating special summons, pretty wild. But I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I don't want to spend too much time talking your ears off about this new archetype. The only one we have left out of Mystic fighters is Dragon Maids. I think Konami saved them for last for a reason. I think they believe they're going to be the most sought after, and I think they probably made them the best. We'll see. You know, I assume it won't take too long from now to figure those cards out or learn about those cards, but I'm really excited nonetheless, and I hope you guys are too. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I love you. Thank you for watching the video. Peace out.